Hello and welcome to Leeroy Gaming, where today I will be providing you with my Technomancer review for the Outriders Demo build. Now, I have had extensive experience of all the classes in the demo, including the Technomancer, and in this review, I'm going to be going over what really matters with this class. So my goal is to share with you not only my overall thought on the class, but how it performs mechanically based on how the combat system is in Outriders. I'm going to talk to you about its survivability method. We're going to talk about the abilities that he has, some of the strengths and weaknesses to him, as well as playstyle viability as far as rating it for survival and speed. And then afterwards, I'm going to provide you with a recommended build that actually can take you all the way to 30. And it's going to be very, very beginner viable, even if you don't have the best gear or anything like that. And then before I finish up, I will actually show you how I play him through one of the little mini missions here, some tips on actual playstyle. Because this is an extensive video, just like all my other deep dive videos, even though it's based off a demo format, I will still provide timestamps below so you can navigate and look what you want to look at. Now, again, if you end up finding this content helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, check out my new streams. I stream Tuesday and Thursday on Twitch, 8:30 till 10:30 p.m. Pacific. So check it out if you want to interact with me and talk to me and ask me questions about this game or the other games that I stream. All right, without further ado, let's jump on in and take a look at the Technomancer. Now, the very first thing I want to point out about the Technomancer, I found it kind of fascinating. Before the demo released, this seemed to be by far the most popular class. And then when the demo hit, a lot of people, I don't know if they were kind of shell-shocked, but maybe it's because he's a little bit more difficult mechanically to utilize compared to the very straightforward nature of the abilities for some of the other classes. It seems like his popularity died down a little bit, but I'm here to tell you the class can play really, really well, and I believe he'll be a phenomenal first character choice for a lot of people when they're just starting out this game learning, and I'll explain why as I go over the mechanics and also show you in a playthrough. So, with this class, I want to talk about how it performs in the combat system. And what I mean by that, this game it's got a cover system, but it's a cover system that the game itself unabashedly kind of looks down upon to a certain degree. All the other classes seem to really do well with running and gunning and minimizing their amount of time in cover. And a lot of that has to do that they have to be really close. They have to be close by to enemies when they die, or they have to mark enemies at closer range to get health back. Now, with the Technomancer, if we take a look, he does not have any such ability. His mechanic is actually in a way kind of basic. He gets just innate leech. So every single class can get through skill nodes, like you see here, Vitality Magnet, 6% leech. They can get stuff like that as they level up, but you start with a 15% base skill leech and 15% weapon leech. So 15% of all damage that you do, no matter what type, skill or weapon, you're going to get back as health. Now, this is both good and bad. It's nice, but it's harder to get that burst heal initially. As you level up, you will get a truly unique heal, and that's going to be a higher level skill. We don't have it in the demo, but it unlocks right here at level 13, and it's going to allow you on a cooldown to heal yourself, your turrets, as well as your allies for 50% of your health instantly. Doesn't matter if you're on the other side of the map or right next to them. No range qualifications. And based off the skill trees, you're going to be able to utilize that as well. Now, problems of the cover system. If you haven't seen my review video, I recommend you watch it. I'm going to link it. It should be popping up for you. To see what I mean as far as mechanically, I actually use the Technomancer as the example. popping in and out of cover can be a little tricky. Sometimes it gets a little stuck, and sometimes you can't get into cover when you want to. But yet this class does benefit from being in cover because of, especially if you use the turrets. So one of the things about the turret mechanics, and I'm going to demonstrate this here in a second. So I just held down the button and it lets me place it, which is really nice and strategic. So I'm placing it down here, for example. And now you have this turret. Well, if you run ahead and leave it behind, it's not going to do that much. So there is an inclination for you want to basically kind of hunker back, put this down as the enemies come at you. This will, freeze them, for example. And then you also have your second turret. This one you cannot play, you can't auto place, but it causes mass chaos. And again, it kind of promotes you to kind of hang back and do damage from range. Another benefit about being in cover is if you ever get low on health, because remember, you don't have burst healing like that 25% of your health from killing something. It's all about damage done. So the Technomancer sometimes can feel initially a little squishy. But if you are in cover, you will automatically heal till about, I think it's like 30 or 33% over time, only if you are in cover. So it's an additional heal on top of all this stuff. Now, the problem in the game that people run into when they first start this demo is that enemies will swarm you. So as I will show you in just a few minutes when we go into the level, enemies will come from all sides. So initially they'll be right in front of you and all of a sudden they'll spawn from behind. So if you're behind cover, they're going to come right at you, and that can be a problem. Now, normally the other classes, you just keep moving and you assault and you assault and you assault. And it's easy and it's natural and instinctive. With this class, you can do that as well. But again, there's not as many tools initially to help you with that. Now, you do have this ability right here that I have that is going to buff your weapon and do like a toxic dot damage. This will help you do more damage and basically get more DPS out and hence heals more. So you can technically play like the other classes. But as you'll see in my recommendation of my build, doing a turret build will be really, really powerful as you level up. Okay? So do keep that in mind. Now, one of the biggest things, the learning curve, is learning the placement of the turrets. Again, most people may not notice that you can place them manually. So if you use it just like any other skill and you place it, it'll place it right there, which is fine, but you can place these really far out. For example, right now it's on cooldown, but where I'm shooting right now, you can basically place it that far. So you can kind of goad it to like tank for you, and then you could, for example, maneuver. So that's a strategy you're going to see me using, and whenever you run into a boss, you can use one of your other abilities. Now, as far as reviewing the playstyle, the viability, survivability, as you level up, this class will have insane survivability, and you'll see that when I talk to you about the build in just a minute or two. Speed-wise, I think the trickster may be able to do better burst DPS potentially, but certain abilities, like early on with this missile silo ability right there, this does insane damage against like bosses or hard targets if you align them up correctly. So he does have burst potential, but again, not quite as high from my experience as, for example, the trickster that can kind of melt an elite in a couple of seconds using one of her deadly combos. But the fact that he is very survivable, if played and built right, will make him an amazing top-tier character. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at that build I mentioned. Now, the skills I'm going to recommend, you don't have them all in the beta, but you will be going cryo turret. Okay, this is going to help crowd control. It's going to do some damage, but it's going to really help you do a ton more damage, and you'll see why, to the enemies that it does freeze and target. Okay, your second ability temporarily will probably be the pain launcher, but you could also use shrapnel. But long term, you're going to use this level 22 ability. It is a second turret, and what it does is it kind of sprays toxic damage, and that's going to not only do a ton of DPS, but it's going to again help you increase the amount of damage you do to everything that it targets. and that's going to be covered in that class node area in just a second. So those are your two primary DPS abilities. And then your third ability, your big survival ability, is going to be this ability at level 17. Because I can't target it right now, I don't remember the name, but what it does is you cast it, and in a giant AoE around you, you're going to freeze everything. Okay? And that's going to help you crowd control. And again, whatever's frozen or impacted by toxic damage is going to get melted in milliseconds for you. Now, until you get this at level 17, probably recommend doing what I did here and just getting the blighted rounds to apply the toxic effect and get that extra damage and also spread the debuffs. Okay? So that is the strategy. Now, this all comes together with the class nodes. So here are your 20 node builds. Disregard this. This is just for the demo. I was trying to get that extra 5% life leech. But here's what you're going to want to build. So as you start, we're going to be primarily in Tech Shaman. Going to start with Anomalous Body, 10% health here. Then you're going to get Gadgeteer. This is big, 15% cooldown. And this is going to impact both your Cryo Turret as well as that AoE Cryo effect that I mentioned at higher levels. If you temporarily use the heal at any point, helps you with that, but end game, you're going to be using those other two abilities. Next, you get this extra 10% damage. Now, as soon as, if you're going to be using the toxic bullets, which I recommend, you're going to get exposing toxins right away. If you're going to use something else, you can hold off on this till you get that second turret. Notice the language. Every time toxic is afflicted on an enemy, vulnerable status is inflicted as well. And then you're going to get this. Vulnerable afflicted on an enemy is 40% more effective. Okay? So this is going to make them extra vulnerable to additional damage. Think of it as a damage multiplier. Okay? Now, the next point you're going to get is you're going to go over here and you're going to get armor plating. That's going to make you a little tougher, 20% armor. You're going to move on here to get that extra 10% health. Okay? Now, this is an ability that you may get if you're struggling early on. You could temporarily get it and spec out of it. Blur screen, your health regeneration threshold is increased by 20% of your maximum health. This is related to being in cover. So if you're in cover and you heal, get that auto heal, you'll be able to heal to a higher level instead of that cap of 30% or so. So probably bring it closer to 50% roughly. So this is a temporary point that you may or may not put in depending how you're doing. But normally you would skip it. And now you do have this option here between your skill lead 6% or the gadget. I will probably recommend the gadget one unless you're really struggling with health. Then you could technically get that, but get that cooldown down as low as you can because you're going to be all about spamming abilities. All right. Next, you're going to get an additional health perk here. And you're going to get your 100% health turret. This is going to be huge. Now, if you want to rush the end, which I wouldn't blame you, you could technically hold off on this. I would evaluate how squishy your turrets are as you're gaming. But this could be optional. Now, what's not optional is down here. Exposing Frost. Every time freeze is afflicted on an enemy, vulnerable status is inflicted as well. So now your Cryo Turret, and again, that AoE freeze ability you're going to unlock at 17 will both do this. And you're going to take Marked for Execution. Vulnerable afflicted on an enemy is 40% more effective. This should stack. That's 80% more effective. Anything that's affected by toxic or frozen is going to melt in seconds. And you're going to be basically between those abilities, even before you get max level, you're going to be freezing and applying toxic to everything. Don't let the fact that this is a tank line fool you. Next, you're going to get more armor. Again, got to get you more tanky. And you're going to get this 5% weapon leech automatic, which is nice. Now, 20% of all weapon damage is going to heal you. You're going to move on to 20% more armor. Now, you have an option. Again, if you're rushing to the final ability, which I don't blame you for, you're going to temporarily wait off on this. But you can, if you want, get it right away. And again, every time you use those gadgets and you're going to be spamming them, you're going to increase your healing for you and your allies by 30%. If you're playing in a group, I would probably say go for this first. If you're playing solo, skip it for now. Then you're going to go to Doctor of Medicine, Increase all healing by 20%. Again, that's huge. That's going to increase your life leech. It's going to increase every form of healing. And then don't get tricked into getting the 6% life leech. Get this, fracture. Enemies afflicted with freeze receive 30% more damage. And again, you're going to have that AoE freeze and your cryo turret freezing everything. Bonkers. And then your capstone. This seems broken. There's two effects. You get your comeback from dead ability, which is great, and the top one, which is nuts. Activating gadget skills increases your anomaly power and weapon damage by 40%. And because you have that 30% built-in cooldown to gadgets, you're spamming this. 2 out of 3 abilities you have are gadgets. The last one is going to be one of these, what are they called? Not ordnance. The last one. It's decay. It's a decay ability. But that's perfectly fine. So you get to the end here, and you're going to have just a couple points back, and that's when you come back to finish off the tree. That's when you can prioritize either medical unit, or you're going to prioritize turret, and you'll basically be finished off. That is the build. You could technically mess around with top or bottom, but again, I would prioritize cooldowns. And with that element, you're going to be constantly placing those turrets. You're going to be constantly healing from their damage. You're going to be causing debuffs and vulnerabilities. I predict it will be starting out one of the most powerful builds, and you will not die. So that is my build, and that'll take you all the way to level 30. If you like it, do leave a like and comment as well. Or if you have your own recommendations, let me know. Now for the final part of the video, I'm going to show you how I play this class in this payback mission. And I'll narrate, again, some of the potential issues. Now I'm going to be playing this kind of strategically how I would play. So I get my buff on. Make sure you have a full tank. Now here we go. I'm going to drop this to help me tank. They're nice and frozen. There we go. Now I don't have the most insane gear or anything on this either. You can get some great blue abilities. So notice, because I'm kind of strategically placing my turret, it still allows me to kind of hide. Or rather, run and gun a little bit. But you do have to be careful, because if you misplace it, it can cause issues. All right. Now as we move up here, let's take care of the sniper. So again, you're using that turret as a distraction. Make sure to take advantage of your melee attack freezing. That is key. Again, I'm going to place it where I want it. I'm going to put them right there. And there's the other problem. They love using grenades. So if you're hiding here too long... Ooh, oh my god, I just got my first legendary. That is crazy. Without crazy farming, wow. Okay, well, my review video just had me find my first legendary. That is really exciting. And I hit tier 5 on this one, which was ironically the last character for me to hit tier 5. So, yeah, guys, I just found a legendary on tier 4 by accident. I guess good karma for creating this video. All right. So basically, as you can kind of saw, you can kind of use your turrets as a centralizing focus point. You probably noticed that if every time I tried to hunker down, there were enemies swarming all around, made it more difficult. This is the reason why this character can feel a little more squishy initially. If people misplace their turrets, they're not getting the effect, they're not using the turrets as a distraction, that can be a problem. Let's take a look at the legendary. I can't withhold my excitement here. We got the Amber Vault. Nice. Level 8. Killing Spree. Killing shots increase damage by 30%. For the weapon for 30 seconds. Bonus deteriorates with time and stacks to 5. And critical shots do not consume ammo. And it's a 60 clip. Guess what? That is absolutely beautiful. for using that the venom ammo. Now let's go ahead and really quick, final thing. Let's go ahead and show you how to fight this little mini boss. Again, that legendary loot was obviously completely unscripted, but beyond exciting. We'll see how this goes. Again, my experience, my trickster has the easiest time with this boss of all of them. We'll skip this. So let's drop him as the distraction. Oh, messed up a little bit. I didn't get the debuff on him. Oh, he got the heal off. That was my bad, but we got him. So part of that was the legendary, to be honest. He probably was a little bit more powerful than he should have been on that boss kill. Oh. And there I am distracted. All right. So like I said, there is a little bit less room for error with him. Let's do this one more time here. So drop that off as a distraction. Come around. Freeze our friends. Get the turret down again. Again, let's see. See how I'm healing here, just standing behind. Oops. There we go. Let's get that turret. And that right there just annihilated him. So, that's how you play that. Again, he's going to start out a little rougher than some of the other classes that are straightforward, but I guarantee you, as you get used to him, obviously if you get some good gear, but if you follow the build out, you are going to have the easiest time playing this character. Okay, guys, that's going to be the end of the video. Again, this is Leeroy of Leeroy Gaming. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one.